Welcome to the Yerba Power Podcast, where we share the power of Yerba Mate with the world. Introducing your host, Devin.
If you're an owner of a Yerba Mate brand, would like to be, or curious about marketing strategies, this episode is for you. Join our conversation with Nicole Cox, a corporate and digital marketing manager for Fresca Studios. We'll talk about how Nicole got into marketing, transferable skills, and marketing insights and advice for Yerba Mate companies. Learn more about Nicole and her company at thisisfresca.com. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Yerba Power Podcast. I'm joined by a digital marketing expert that I met through LinkedIn. And it was kind of a fun story, just to give you a background. And she was talking about one of the Yerba Mate companies that we all would know if I said, we maybe talk about that later. But what made them so successful? And just the marketing of Yerba Mate. I was like, okay, we got to get her on the podcast to share her story and her marketing advice and expertise. So let me introduce you to Nicole Cox. Thank you for joining us, Miss Nicole.
Hi everyone. Hi, Devin. It's an honor to be here.
No, it's an honor for me because I know you're busy, just the rest of us is in life, and trying to arrange times, especially with different time zones and countries. It's always a challenge. So thank you for giving up some of your time to be here and share your story, and also your availability. I appreciate it because I know going back and forth for a couple of weeks. So, and so I guess first, let's start with, I guess just to give the audience a little understanding, your English is spectacular, but you're from Argentina. And we talked about that as like, having English ancestry, and is similar aspect, I guess, in the United States, that we have different immigrant, backgrounds, Wagner, very German background. But, I don't know any German. I've been to Germany, but that's about it. So, it's cool that the fact of Argentina and the US have a very melting pot of mixing of cultures and things. And even cooler because that allows, I think, Yerba Mate to just spread all over the world, because it doesn't really matter where it comes from. It's this shared connection, this tool. And so I guess, the point kind of this conversation is, to be able to share this conversation with the world around, Yerba Mate as a tool, basically. But I specifically want to ask you how you got into marketing, and what does that look like? Did you study, or did you just kind of like get a job, or how did that start?
Yeah, so it wasn't a really direct path. It took some time to find the right industry and work environment. I studied business. So after earning my degree, I started working in the finance sector of a national wine brand group, wine brands from Argentina. So I found the industry really exciting, but I quickly realized that finance wasn't the right fit for me. So I considered transitioning to marketing, but at the time there was a belief that once you started in finance, it would be difficult to shift into marketing, because there's lots of stereotypes. Like if you're in finance, you have like more hard skills than soft skills or creative skills. So to strengthen my profile, I started studying for a marketing degree, which was like maybe 1 year, 2 years over my business career. So it wasn't that long. So about a year into my studies, I was offered a position as a market research analyst in a leading FMCG company, or like fast-moving consumer goods.
Yeah.
Which was known locally as like the marketing school, because it created and maintained lots of brands from scratch. That's a good thing about working with national companies. You're like really in the kitchen of creation of new brands and going over new trends, etc. So I was thrilled. I started working there. So 1 year into that job, into that role, I applied for an internal marketing position, and I got the job and began my career in marketing. And from there, I continued like growing within the company, and maybe 5-6 years later, transitioned to other companies in similar roles.
No, that's really cool. I think the highlight there, well, number one, that's a cool experience, to be able to kind of get your foot in the door and then just go with it, right? Just getting that opportunity. And the fact that you made what would be considered a hard switch, as far as the analytical skills versus the technical skills. But what I've learned in my own career, and I'm sure this applies to you as well, is that there's a lot of transferable skills, right? Like communication, being able to think critically, or things like that, anyone can learn or do even without a degree. Like, what would you say maybe some of those transferable skills were or are?
I would definitely say organization
Mm.
and yeah, maybe like data skills, because for my first marketing job, like my finance position wasn't like a benefit. But when I started growing and transitioning to maybe other companies, some companies like really valued that I was some years in finance, because there are some roles in marketing that expect you to lead maybe like more P&L, like the part of demand and those things that are more hard skilled associated. So that was a plus for me in the
So you
long
kind
run.
of leveraged your strengths there too, I guess, is kind of way of saying it. That's cool. Um, and yeah, when you said data skills, do you mean like data analytics, like being able to analyze
Data
data?
analytics
Yeah.
and as well like um in finance, what I did was all the accounts had to be pretty organized and have it was like a finance balance, it had to get together. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but
Like get everybody on the same page.
on the same
Get,
page, yeah.
yeah.
So it was really organizing everything, and that the numbers all, yeah, all add up. That was the objective.
And that's really cool because one thing I've, seen and a lot of is, yeah, data analytics skills are huge here in the US for sure. And I'm sure just the same as Argentina in the world. That's something that people are really digging into, being able to have data analytics skills of not just like understanding what the numbers are actually saying, basically. Like it's cool that, you sold a million units or whatever, or thingamabobs, but like, okay, what worked? What, like what do the numbers mean, and sorry to, I guess nerd out there for a second and get too far in. I was trying to keep it a little high level, but it is interesting though, because your knowledge obviously has grown through just starting and then continuing to learn and grow. And so through your experience, have you noticed any trends or insights around the world in marketing or in research that, and specifically to Yerba Mate, like, have you noticed any, I mean, through your company or through your own personal experience?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, like the core of yerba mate and its consumption is like the whole ritual behind it. So I feel like specifically for yerba mate, that's the whole thing that makes people be interested in it. Beyond its like maybe its functional benefits or its flavor, etc. So I think that's the core behind yerba mate. I know like maybe in the pandemic, um, making coffee at home was like a really big trend. So I think globally the trend behind yerba mate is like getting to know the yerba mate behind the ritual. And then it will obviously begin growing because of its functional benefits. I know there's lots of ready to drink beverages, um, and the experience behind consuming like new things from all over the world that have a story behind it, like the origin, where does yerba mate come from? Um, so I think that's the whole like trend into yerba mate. I think globally people are innovating like through modern beverages with functional benefits. I think it's the whole thing globally. Although locally, it won't happen. Like yerba mate won't be like a hit. I think that's my take. Being incorporated in ready to drink beverages, etc. I think like we're traditional, and it won't be a boom to insert it in other categories.
Yeah, and I'm curious, why do you say that?
Firstly, because the population in Argentina is mostly like from the base of the pyramid. So the consumption of yerba mate, it's like the core, and unfortunately, it's a trend that people drink lots of mate, and it cuts hunger. So that's like a really big consumption trend. And for the top of the pyramid is like the whole ritual behind it. It's what Yerba Cosmico maybe tries to communicate. It's the whole story behind yerba mate, the ritual, the sharing, maybe the consumption of yerba mate, like tereré, which is yerba mate is mostly drunk with hot water, and you maybe sweeten or unsweeten the yerba, but as well you can drink it with ice and maybe some herbs, or adding a juice, drinking it cold. That's called tereré, which is like a trend for summer. And there is a high trend that's like 5 years ago or more started with a blend, the yerba mate blends with different herbs and organic yerba and different additions of flavor additions that make it more functional. So I think that's the way the growth of yerba mate will be in Argentina, and not like the ready-to-drink beverages, because the ready-to-drink beverages trend isn't as strong in Argentina as in the rest of the world.
Yeah, for sure. And I, my own insight, I don't know, I'm not, any expert by any means, but definitely here in the United States, the having things instantly ready is just kind of part of our marketing culture. And so the ready-to-made drinks is kind of actually seems to be more, there's more companies popping up every day like that, because it's kind of the opposite if people don't want to slow down and make the whole ritual of it. Although I think that's a false positive as well, because I do think people, enjoy the rituals. It's just they maybe don't know how. At least that's what I feel I've seen, is people make it so complicated, like, oh, how to make yerba mate. That's like the most searched thing, right? It's like, just like, pour the yerba, put it in your straw in hot water. It's really that, basically that's all there is to it. But, there, of course, all that aside, what I was going to ask is what, there's two things. One, here in the US, we're definitely riding the Messi effect. The wave of that is an outlier, I would say, because Messi and Colapinto and other people, other footballers and stuff too, that kind of are a marketing, I guess, part, is like they're popular around the world, and it's like, well, they drink it now. I'm curious, what is it, right? And that gets people interested. But that'll probably, ebb and flow. I mean, Messi at some point will have to retire. Hopefully not soon, but you know, um, and then the other thing that I've seen a lot of, and this is just what I'd be curious, is the focus on the functional, like the health benefits. That's a big push, and I've seen a lot of the focusing on the health benefits of yerba mate, especially as in comparison to coffee. And kind of curious if, that's a pliable branch or marketing, or maybe it's focusing on the ritual, or I don't know what your thoughts are there.
Yeah, of course there is a trend into functional consumption. Through all, like, appealing lots of consumers and their behavior, looking for more organic, natural, and things that are good for you. So that's like a whole trend all over the world. But I really don't think it will be like the secret to grow in yerba mate, to communicate its functional benefits. because people already drink yerba. It has like a market penetration of 99%. It's like crazy. So you don't have to make the market penetration grow. You have to make the frequency grow. So I would think like maybe different consumption experiences will be the key to growing the yerba mate consumption, and maybe as well keys to how to like go to market strategies for yerba mate and whole stories behind it. But I don't think functional benefits will be like the key for growth in local yerba mate brands. I don't know if that's clear.
No. That makes sense. I mean, health industry is always going to be a thing, but yeah, that's not the sticking point, I think, is what you're trying to say. That'll get people maybe curious, but that's going to make them like want to keep, I guess, being customers, or just maybe try a beverage one time, but not. Yeah. I think we're on the same page there. And then, so then I guess that begs the question is, for myself as a podcast of trying to get more people introduced to yerba mate and yerba mate companies out there, what would be the advice of marketing? Is it to just basically share stories about what yerba mate is, or the culture, or like what would you advise there?
Yeah, so I would definitely give yerba mate leader brands. They have to jump into trends. That's a must. So maybe like the blends and the functional things, like creating a maybe niche would be a must, but that won't bring them like the biggest business. I would truly make them think smaller and simpler. Maybe being on the other side, I've been in corporate lots of years, and it's difficult to think maybe smaller, more niche, and creating brands that are really authentic, genuine, and relatable. So that's what I think was the edge of Yerba Cosmico, with beyond the whole community that they created as being like an Argentine American relationship, and the whole thing of learning Spanish and sharing their rituals. I think there's a story behind it. There's a different marketing go to market campaign through the packaging. Like, it's premium. They've worked on merchandising. They've worked really on the ritual behind it. So that's a story, like sharing with an American. Like, we're there's a whole thing in Argentina. Like, we're really proud of who we are, and the concept of hinchas. Like, we're really fans of our country, and we love other people of the world drinking mate, because it's like, I think we're really proud of it, and we love spreading it. So I think that
any country that's more passionate about everything than Argentina. Side note, we were watching, and this was probably 2 years ago, there was an Argentine tennis player playing in like Serbia for a tournament. And, tennis is typically a quiet sport, like, oh, good job, good shot. And they were in the stadium, and then like after every point, like everybody's jumped up yelling, and I was like, man, like, passionate about something they don't even understand. Like in Colapinto, like the F1 racing. No one's been an F1 racing fan until now. Like, everybody's like, I get up to watch Ciclino. So anyways, sorry.
No, we're like that. We're really passionate of our country and its traditions. So I think that's beyond like the whole marketing proposal. Like, it's a nice packaging. It stands out in retail. They've worked on distribution. They've worked on being present in the major retailers, in new channels, like the digital ones, like Mercado Libre, Pedido Ya, Rappi. And the great marketing communication that they make. They are really authentic. They are bubbly. They are relatable. So that's what makes it different. But I think the core is like an Argentine transforming an American to drink yerba mate every day and being like an hincha of mate. I think that's like the emotional core behind it. So that's one side. So for traditional brands, I would say be relatable, be authentic. That for big corporations, I've been there. It's pretty difficult to be relatable, genuine, human. And we work in our marketing agency with lots of brands. And that's, I think, the difficult thing about new generations that want more human brands. So big corporations are really challenged by this new generations wanting more relatable content and not the big brand credential. So having said this, on the other hand, I've spoken about the base of the pyramid. So we have a country that has lots of poverty. So I would work on like inverse innovation in how to create yerba mate in a more cost-effective way, or maybe go-to-market strategies being more cost-effective, maybe without or really simple packaging, maybe more kilos or less kilos, just for a lesser out-of-pocket or more efficient purchase. So I maybe would work on those two extremes.
Yeah, and so two things. One, I was going to say, so just to clarify, I think it's what you're trying to say, or make sure I'm understanding, is sharing kind of the story behind the scenes, like what they do at Yerba Cosmico, for example, of like exactly the whole how they know each other, how she became so passionate about Argentina, and then obviously people want to share that story too, because it's like, yeah, Argentina, we're the best. I mean, obviously, and so now people want to share that, and then I think too, like it is really cool to watch them and their story about like how they made the packaging, why they made the packaging like that way. So I think behind the scenes, if am I understanding correctly, kind of how they're part, the whole story behind it versus just like, hey, here's our new product, buy it. It's like, here's what we want to do, here's why we want to do it, kind of thing. And that's one thing I think I'm trying to challenge myself too, of giving more behind the stories of like how I started the podcast, why I started the podcast, because I think, I guess I just don't think people would care, but I realized they ask me that kind of stuff, and they want to know. And I think, like you said, being relatable, being authentic, being a human instead of just this expert on Yerba Mate or whatever. It's like, no, I don't care if you're an expert. Like, people can Google it, right? I think it's just understanding it. And then the second thing I was going to say though was related to the price point, because I just saw this the other day and I thought it was really interesting. Alexi McAllister, that he's, in Liverpool, like he partnered with, I think it's Hearth is the name of his company. And they have like a yerba mate drink. And like a canned drink, like this trending, kind of energy drink. And they shared their story about partnering with an American CFO. And the whole story was like, hey, we need to make our drinks comparable to a bag of chips, or, I guess what we say in the US, like, not, or what they say, fries or whatever. Anyways, I forgot, crisps. Yeah, there you go. That's the word I was looking for. British crisps, chips, right? So
Yeah.
basically a bag of Lay's, right? Like Messi's Lay's. Okay, so the drinks themselves shouldn't cost more than like $1 or $2. And so they lowered all their prices to like $1.25 or a pound, whatever. And so that way it's way more affordable. And I don't know how the math, they worked it out to still make profit, but it is interesting because obviously people are going to buy more product if it's more affordable, right? And therefore you increase your sales. So I don't know. It was interesting to see that. I don't know. Sorry to get off on a tangent. You got any thoughts there? But
No, I've got a thought that I've made the price point analysis for Yerba Cosmico, and it has a really high price point for the same yerba proposal in the market. And I understand they are selling everything is good for them. I don't know what's in terms of profit for them, but I believe they're selling at a really like high price point. I think for half a kilo, the price point is maybe around 2,500 pesos, Argentinian pesos, and they are selling like for 3,700, 3,700, like you say.
yeah, 3 plus, yeah, Thursday. So that is about, I forgot I haven't paid attention to the What's the current conversion now?
I think it's 1,000. Went to 1,000.
And is that the dollar blue or is that the
No, the official. Around the official, yeah.
Okay, so that's basically like $3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is give or take,
It's
here in the US it's obviously more and that's I guess importation and stuff, but yeah, I've noticed that's around in Argentina for like a kilo, right? Like is probably about $4, I think, dollars. But yeah, interesting. And that's another interesting point is like selling it as premium, right? And charging more for, premium experience, right? And it's an interesting concept because it's like you want to make it more affordable to get more customers, but also increase your profit. And also if you make it more exclusive, like people now I gotta have it. Now I have to have it because it's exclusive, right? I think it's the whole thing too with even with Messi's is like his new thermos or the goat thermos. It's like, oh, it's a Messi exclusive thermos. Like it's the same as every other thermos. It's just that it's pink and it says goat and Messi. It's like now it's fancy, right? And they sell it for way more.
Everyone had it here.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that I was like really surprised when I saw the difference in price point because I understood maybe the Yerba Cosmico was like being able to create a brand that's affordable, but I think maybe their profit didn't add up, so they had to put that price point. But yeah, people buy it, and I think that's the whole differential of marketing. It's like, okay, I have the same product because it's the same product as other brands, and I market in a different way, and I create an experience because it's all about like the story behind it, the experience, how the consumer feels when drinking Yerba Mate Cosmico. It does have, I think it's the only brand in the market that has like the sticker to open it. So it has like a really put together packaging in an industry that has like pretty mainstream packaging. There's no like differential there.
Is the same. Yeah. And he even told a story about that. Like every yerba is red or yellow. And that's true. Like pretty much everyone is colored red and they decided to go black and white, which is like, why? Like that's so boring, but it sticks out. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, it sticks out. And yeah, there are other brands that worked on packaging and I've been working in corporates when they made some packaging changes. I do think like it's more the design than the color selection. But yeah, I think more beyond the story and the ritual and getting to know the behind the scenes, as you said, which is like really relatable and brings the brand closer to the consumer because, it gives you a sense of pride to consume something that the journey of the product. So I really think it makes you,
right?
Yeah, you connect with it. And being Sam and Hernan and the community they created, it was really easy for them to generate awareness on their brand and being bought by their community. So I think they leveraged their awareness as a community and used it in their favor.
Yeah, the creating the audience and the fans, right? And then it's like, then you have a product and it's like, well, you already have all I've heard this other marketing article, like 1,000 true fans. In other words, you have, these 1,000 core people that are like, you're real like you're real diehard fans, right? And then that's all you really need. Like everyone else is going to probably just jump on board, but you have a solid base of like people that support you no matter what you do.
Yeah, and I believe they truly found a different edge to innovating in marketing because now I think for the US it's similar. When you're an influencer and you have a community, the easiest way to market a brand, like a personal brand, is getting into fashion, maybe like creating t-shirts or things like that. And they created a Yerba Mate brand, which was really true to their positioning as a personal brand, as a couple. But I think it was different. It isn't the typical path for an influencer to innovate or to create a brand in a fast-moving consumer good industry, which is really difficult for them because it isn't an easy industry in Argentina. So I think that's like the edge. And that's why I think they should launch Argentinian products behind the brand Cosmico, like Alfasore, etc.
Yeah. It's a whole nother market and income, right?
Yeah, and that everything related to like Argentinian traditional rituals and things that we are really proud of, like dulce de leche, etc.
Yeah. It's like a fly trap for Argentines. It's like, set out a can of, or a canister of dulce de leche. It's like,
Like, sorry, we got really important global brands onboarding to the mate ritual, which is Stanley that launched the mate system, thermos. So that's incredible.
yeah, Stanley blew up just from that. It's crazy. I still just like, man, I never really knew Stanley as a brand that much. And it's a crazy thing because it's an American brand, or it was, I guess. But then just like out of nowhere. And okay, so I want to give you some space, and I thank you so much again for being so enlightening us, sharing your experience and your time. And I just want to give you some space, like anything else that you want people to know about you, your company, or just anything else you'd like to share.
Of course, I'm really passionate on marketing and I love speaking. I love the space, so thank you, Devin. I love analyzing different industries and I work doing it now. So I've partnered with two partners, sorry for the double word. But I've partnered with a designer, UX, UI expert, and a digital innovator, which is an expert in everything like digital, which is fastly changing day by day with AI and everything. It's really complex. So we make a really good team, and we love taking new brands, helping them with the go-to-market strategies, business development, really like helping them leap to their next level. And this is what sets us apart. We are like 3 interdisciplinary partners. Each one is expert in our fields, and we really work well together. And we complement each other and bringing a fresh perspective to every project. Our agency is called Fresca Studios, so we got a fresh edge to what we do. So we make 360 marketing strategies for lots of brands. So that's my projects today, and I'm happy to share it with you.
Yeah. And if people want to, either contract you or contact you, or if they're interested, how would they get a hold of you or find out your company? Or
you can find about our company and our website, which is thisisfrescastudios.com.
And I'll put that in the show notes for you guys, just in case you're listening. Go ahead.
Great, thank you. Or you can DM us on our LinkedIn, Instagram, or just DM me through LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to help.
Yep, that's how I found you. So, frescastudios.com.
This is frescastudios.com is our website.
Yep,
and
the same name on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, and we work with brands across the world, so that's not an issue. We work digitally.
And obviously you speak excellent English, so that's not an issue either. And obviously Spanish as well. So, or the American brands listening, or American companies, and it's kind of cool because I found a lot more now that I've been doing the podcast and stuff, and even I wasn't aware, but there's a lot of yerba mate companies popping up here in the U.S. now more. So very, very cool. So frescastudios.com. Thank you, Nicole, for your time. And I hope, this was advantageous for everyone listening and for yourself as well. I guess until next time.
Thank you, Devin.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing the love of yerba mate and the culture and connection in your story.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Devin.